So I did a poll recently on all of my social medias, Instagram, Twitter. I even did this on YouTube, basically asking if I were to make would you be interested in me making a series every Friday where I post a video about a head coaching candidate that the Titans could possibly go after and just talk about their history and the positives and negatives of them. Like, would you be interested in that? Everybody that voted in that poll has said yes so far. So, without the final results even coming out, I'm pretty confident that that is going to end up being the result. And since I'm confident in that, I'm just going to start making these videos. So, since I am a week behind, there will be two posted today. This one and another one. This one at, I believe, 3:30, and the next one at probably like 7:30 if I had to guess. So anyway, let's get into this video. So what's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Titans Rundown. I'm your host, Mike McCamey, and this is not an episode of a podcast. In this video, not episode, video, we are going to be going over a head coaching profile. Now, this will be a consistent, continuous series over the next couple of weeks or months until the Tennessee Titans finally land on their guy as the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. So this video is going to be on the current defensive coordinator for the LA Rams, Chris Shula. Now, I'm very interested in this guy because he has been considered a high riser as of recent whenever it comes to the head coaching search. And I'm just very interested in this guy. So I will say, though, the only reason I'm posting two today, this won't be a normal thing. The only reason I'm posting two today is just because of the fact that I'm doing this in coalition with the articles that I make over at Music City Miracles. I'll leave a link down in the description if you want to go check those out. Again, I am just, again, I'm just gonna keep doing this until the Titans get a head coach, I guess. That's really all that I gotta say. And yeah, I'm really excited to get into this. So let's start out with Chris Shula. Starting out with, how did we get here? What did he do to get to this position where he is the current defensive coordinator for the LA Rams and a head coaching candidate, a very hot head coaching candidate that has been just, loved by Titans fans, Giants fans, other fans that I can't think of right now, but are probably going to have head coaching openings over the offseason. So let's get into this. We start with this journey for Chris Shula, where he becomes the assistant linebackers coach at Ball State after finishing his college career as a linebacker. And after that, he becomes a graduate assistant. Again, there's not that much to add to these two. I mean, it's internships, basically. Like, he's just kind of hanging around, not really doing much. And yeah, I mean, that's really it. Not too much going on. And before you say assistant linebackers coach is that, I promise you, especially at a school like Ball State, it's not. Like, I remember in a high school experience, there was a specific defensive line coach, won't say his name, but anybody who goes to my high school, you know who it was. This was the year before one of our defensive line coaches left for, I think it was BGA, if I remember correctly. It may have been FRA also, but it was one of those two, and he had a dude that was considered an assistant D-line coach, but he didn't really do that much outside of just watch him work, and I'm sure that that's probably what Chris Shula did as the assistant linebackers coach. Anyway, now that I'm done just explaining that, after his time there was a specific small college that caught his eye, and that college was named John Carroll University. Now, you've probably never heard of this college. Neither have I, honestly. I don't know a thing about John Carroll University. But I did my research, and trust me, it took a lot to find some statistics about this. I believe it was 2014 team. Again, very sparse information. But what I did find was that this defense, after doing the math, allowed 13 points per game. Very, very solid work by Chris Shula, especially as his first time as a defensive coordinator. So after doing that, although he was never going to get hired into a really big position somewhere else, this did catch the eye of a couple of NFL teams, specifically one, the Chargers. Ironically, their head coach at the time, Mike McCoy, called him up and said, "Hey, you want to come be the defensive quality control coach?" And, well, he accepted, and that was his first foot in the door in the NFL. I just find it ironic that one of the potentially leading head coaching candidates for this Titans job, at least out of newcomers, is connected in some way to our current interim head coach. I just find that funny. But anyway, he stays there for the rest of Mike McCoy's tenure, that being until 2016, where McCoy is fired. And now that he is kind of jobless, a couple of other teams do call him up, but specifically the LA Rams and Sean McVay call him up in 2017 and ask him if he wants to be the assistant linebackers coach again. Different scenario from Ball State, because Ball State is a small college, while, where LA is a big NFL team. So I'm sure that he does a lot more than what small schools do with assistant position coaches. But he ends up going there under the McVay tree in 2017. And since then, he had consistently climbed the ladder. 2023, he was the passing game coordinator on the defensive side. Then in 2024, he was officially promoted to defensive coordinator of the LA Rams, where he has absolutely killed it. And it's why we're talking about him today. Like, why is he a head coaching candidate? His time in LA, that should be enough. So anyway, let's get into the positives and negatives. Starting out with the positives of him. First off, he ran his unit, right? It's not like he was like Brian Callahan, who just kind of sat to the side and was an eyes in the sky more so as a head coach or as an offensive coordinator. Like, no, Chris Shula had full control over his unit. He play called it, he developed it, he was in charge of the schemes 100%. And again, he was the leading factor in that, because Sean McVay is an offensive mind. He was too busy working with the offense, so Shula had some time to work on the defense. So he has the experience of running a side of the ball. He's not just some goofball who is more of the assistant to the manager type, if you will, than an actual head coaching candidate. Now, don't get me wrong, there have been some great non-play calling coordinators that have ended up being great head coaches. Heck, even though I don't like the man, Nick Sirianni is one of those examples. Heck, I'm pretty sure Andy Reid wasn't a play caller before he ended up. I'm pretty sure Mike Holmgren was the play caller, but I'm not 100% on that. But still, him running his own unit, that's especially a breath of fresh air after the head coaching catastrophe that was Brian Callahan. So, also, his defense, he has been very successful with. He's ranked top 10 twice with his units. And, well, whenever you take a look at this, it's a very young defense. His two best players are second-year players, Brandon Fisk and Kobe Durant and Jared Verse. I guess that's three, but still, not very experienced whenever it comes to the defensive side. But also, this is the thing that really strikes me. He has 4 undrafted free agents, and none of them are absolutely terrible. That should tell you a lot about a defensive coordinator whenever they're able to have a defense, as successful as that just continues to be great, and you don't really have as much to work with as some other teams do, right? So that is one of my other positives. Another thing is that he climbed the ladder. It wasn't like that he hopped around the place and, kept on, I guess, finding other places, other homes, and then ended up in a position where he was a defensive coordinator for some elite defense. No, he stayed patient. He trusted that in himself and in McVay that he could consistently climb the ladder. And once Raheem Morris left, well, there was only one person to promote at that point. The guy that had consistently climbed the ladder as the defensive coordinator. So, yeah, I mean, that says something. That says a lot about a dude and his quality of character, if you will, whenever you look at that and you see that he, again, climbed the ladder, he stayed patient, and he got his job. So, I don't know, I really like that about him. But my favorite thing about Chris Shula is the way that he runs his defense. It is an innovative style, but not of the likes of a McDonald where the schematics are really that. It's the philosophy of it. Chris Shula does not match up against personnel. He matches up against tendencies instead, which has proven to be absolutely amazing for him. Every single offense that he has gone up against has been fried chicken because of the fact that he matches up against tendencies, because like they don't know what to do whenever he knows exactly what's coming because of how much he studied the film, right? Like that is very big for a defense, and there hasn't been truly that much success against them. I mean, the most successful maybe the Seahawks, and even then, 4 picks were thrown in that game. The Colts had a decent outing against them, but like even whenever the backup QB went in for the Bucks, which you feel like that's whenever a tendency-based defense would fall apart because they have no idea what's coming, still locked up. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater isn't amazing, but he's one of the upper backups in the NFL, so like that's really solid. So like yeah, I mean, Chris Shula, again, he has a lot of positives, and even though I wouldn't consider him the highest ceiling out of the head coaching candidates, I do think that he's the lowest floor. But there are some negatives still. All right. And again, like I said, the highest floor out of all of the head coaching candidates that are at least first timers, in my opinion. So whenever I look at the negatives, I look at, first off, he has no experience. This is something that the Titans front office probably won't love too much. He's a first timer. He's only had 2 years to run his defense, so goodness knows what could happen if he ended up taking over the big head coaching job after only 2 years of defensive coordinator experience, right? Like most of these dudes that you see hopping around the NFL, they have 3-4 years of coordinator experience. Chris Shula only has 2. That's something that I don't think will be looked upon that greatly with the Titans. And even though it doesn't bother me as much, I mean, McVay was the offensive coordinator for the Commanders, formerly Redskins, for a single year and was extremely young whenever he got the job. And, well, he is the best head coach in the league. And honestly, in my opinion, is the perfect archetype for a head coach. Like, he's a great mind. He's energetic. He's a great leader of men. Like, he is the perfect build for a head coach. But anyway, getting off of the McVay thing. Well, actually, speaking of McVay, his defensive coordinators haven't really had the best track record as head coaches. I mean, the 2 defensive coordinators that have gone on to be head coaches under his tree are Brandon Staley and Raheem Morris. Both of those dudes have been pretty bad as head coaches, if we're being honest. I mean, Staley woefully underutilized the talent that he was given and ended up, and not as in like an Arthur Smith sense where he refused to use it. I mean, as in his schematics were never good enough to the point where it would end up being pretty great, right? Like, that's the truth. Like, he ended up just being really bad in LA, and then Harbaugh came in and they immediately became great because they had a good head coach. I mean, does that surprise you is what I'm trying to get at, right? Raheem Morris, again, he's not technically under the McVay tree, but he did become the defensive coordinator for him. And even though a lot of coaches, especially defensive coordinators, go on to be somewhere else and then they learn a lot as they are a coordinator for a different head coach, they also end up not really. In McVay's case, he didn't really learn that much from his time. And, well, that's just something that you need to take into consideration. My other thing is that he is a defensive mind without really too many big offensive coordinator connections. I mean, sure, you have the McVay tree, which probably produces somebody as a good offensive coordinator, but I would rather have a very solid idea of somebody that is connected to great offensive minds than somebody who it's going to be like throwing darts at the dartboard whenever it comes to hiring an offensive coordinator. This is where somebody like Robert Saleh comes in a little stronger. I even said this in the article version of this. Like, Robert Saleh has a lot more stronger connections to guys like Mike McDaniel, Brian Daboll, Clay Kubiak even. We're actually talking about his brother in the next video. Or even Mike LaFleur. I think that Mike LaFleur 100% deserves a second chance as a play calling offensive coordinator, right? So whenever you take a look at all of this, I mean, it's not really like there are a lot of other better defensive minds for specifically the development of Cam Ward. And that is probably the biggest reason that I have in my mind that I don't want him as much as I do want a Saleh or McCarthy or heck, even a Kubiak. So, yeah. Anyway, My last thing is this isn't really on him. I mean, it's the way that he was born, and also it's just the situation for the Titans. It's his last name. That's probably the first thing that you notice whenever you see me covering this dude. You're just like, okay, how's he related to Don Shula? He's his grandson, if you were curious. But like, whenever you look at that last name, I'm sure that it gives icky vibes to the front office for the Tennessee Titans, whether it is Amy or Chad Brinker or somebody else in there, or Burke Neal, even though he doesn't run the football operations, he still like is a part of the business part of the team. Like, I'm sure that he gets flashbacks to, that's a good last name that has had really good units in the league and has been around a little bit, right? Why not hire him? And then it ends up being a complete disaster, right? Like, that is something that I'm sure that is in the back of their heads. And even though it's not fair to him, that's just the way that the Titans probably feels. Anyway, overall, though, how likely do I think he is to be the head coach? Not much, honestly. Personally, I don't think that this is going to be like a really big race whenever it comes to who's going to be the next head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Like, I think it really comes down to like 2 or 3 people, which we will mention later on. Just right now, we're mentioning some of the other funner, hotter candidates, right? And I mean hot as in like, names, not as in physical appearance, but no, I don't think he is that likely to be a head coach, and I just don't think it's what the front office is looking for. I think they're looking for an experienced, hard-nosed leader. That is what I'm thinking that they're looking for. That's what it comes off as. I mean, heck, even whenever Magranzi was asked, who are you going to hire as head coach, he immediately said, leader. Don't care if it's offensive or defensive, we need a leader. And hopefully that is what we find, but not saying that I don't think that Chris Shula could be a great leader. Actually, I think that he's more set in stone to be a good leader than most of the other head coaching candidates, especially the one that I'm about to review next. But again, I would personally love him as a head coach, but even with some of the minor concerns I have combined with the big concerns that the Titans have, like, I just don't think he's going to be a head coach. But anyway, that is it for this first video of the head coaching profiles. So let me know, what do you think about this? Do you want me to keep going? Do you want me to stop after this? Like, I want to know. I want to hear y'all's feedback. And also, if you did enjoy it, please like it and subscribe if you haven't already. And also, I want to ask you to let me know in the comments below, what do you think about Chris Shula as a head coaching candidate? Do you think that he's the best available? Do you think he's terrible? Do you think that I am making a huge mistake by saying that he doesn't stand a chance? Or do you think I'm 100% right on? I am curious. Let me know. But anyway, that's going to do it all for me. This has been a rundown of your Tennessee Titans. I love y'all.